I'm Dave Greenwood, and this is Overcoming Distractions. If you are an adult with ADHD, a busy professional, an entrepreneur, a high achiever, or just need some strategies to navigate your adult ADHD, you're in the right place. Who am I? I'm an entrepreneur with ADHD and the author of 2 books, Overcoming Distractions and Overcoming Burnout. I coach and mentor people just like you, and together we navigate the ups and downs of adult ADHD. From getting out of our own way to helping people just like you thrive in the workplace. That's what I do. Want more info on working with me? Hit overcomingdistractions.com. Ready? Let's get to today's podcast. All right, gang. Welcome back to Overcoming Distractions. And if you are that busy person, ADHD, think you have ADHD, you're in a demanding career and you feel like you just can't get out of your own way, then you're in the right place. Or if you're kind of cruising along but just need some tips and advice, or you just want to be part of a community of people that think like you, again, demanding career, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, whatever the case may be, then you're in the right place. So, hey, I have talked to so many of us over the past several years, accomplished professionals, with demanding careers, as I've mentioned, throw in a little bit of ADHD or different wiring, and I often hear this. I have days where I cannot prioritize anything. I am guessing that sounds familiar. And I feel you. Been there, done that. And some days I still feel the same, right? Okay. We are not living in 100% perfection. And if we're gonna strive for that, I think a lot of us are gonna be a little disappointed, right? So, if you are that person that we described, prioritizing tasks can feel sometimes impossible, right? Your brain is going to crave novelty sometimes, over focus on those important details. Sometimes we just freeze completely, right? When everything has like equal urgency in our eyes, right? And I know they don't, but sometimes it feels like that. So I more than think, that with the right street smart strategies, you can make prioritization work for your brain and not against it, because that's really what it comes down to, right? We kind of need to honor the way our brain works, but we can do it in a way that allows us to, quite frankly, kind of work on the mechanics of ADHD. I like to say that. It's one of my favorite things to say when I talk to people. And I know if I asked you right now what was taking up space in your head, it would probably be a long conversation, right? So we need to get that stuff out of our head. So here are some practical steps, some tools to help us start prioritizing and actually have a little bit of follow through, because that's what we're going to talk about. And like usual, when I come on these kind of solo episodes, we hit the ground running. I give you what you need. I get in and out, and we do our thing. And hopefully you're going to take away a little bit of info and actionable advice that maybe you can just kind of put into play, right? So, all right, so we're talking about prioritizing. So here we go. First thing you got to do is you got to do a brain dump, and you gotta clear the mental clutter before you can prioritize. You need to know what you're dealing with, and you need to sit quietly, grab your calendar, anything else you need, just to kind of get back on track. I don't care if it's like a notebook, a legal pad. Maybe you're the electronic type and you want to sit there and and grab, whatever, Evernote, etc., a Notion, just a Google Doc. I don't care, right? But you gotta just kind of, I'm going to say it, you gotta just kind of vomit everything out that's in your head, right? Put it on paper. Put it in that notes app. If you're a super, super visual person, maybe you need a whiteboard hanging on your wall, or you have like a Kanban or Trello. Um, and right now, I'm just going to say, don't worry about the order or categories. Things are going to just kind of fly into your head, and you've got to kind of loop those back out and get them externalized. I think this will help relieve some of the overwhelming thoughts that you have, because we do need to, as Russell Barkley has said and others have said, externalize what's in our head. I'm going to just say this flat out. It can be overwhelming at first because you're like, holy crap, I just put like 30 things on this list, right? But it's better than just trying to keep it all in your head, and we need to get it out of our head. And I don't think we can prioritize anything without prying it out of our ADHD brain. So first thing is brain dump and externalize. So maybe some examples. I got to finish that report for the client. I got to email that client. I got to email HR. I got to prep for my regular weekly meeting with the team. I forgot to follow up with the client that I said I would, and maybe now I'm behind. And it just came out in my brain dump, right? Personally speaking, maybe you need to call the doctor. Maybe you need to order groceries or dog food. Maybe you need to clean the kitchen, right? Okay? So, but it helps to externalize those things. Next, you need to identify what's actually time sensitive, right? Just kind of use some simple prompts with yourself. What's due today or in the next 48 hours? What needs to be done, right? What has some real, I'll say it, consequences if it doesn't get done? Like if I don't email the client back X, Y, and Z, are they going to start to get irritated with me, or email my boss, or call my boss, or whatever it might be? What has been stressing you out the most? We talk about things taking up space in our head, but I'm a firm believer that we actually do feel better when we actually do things, right? When it's actually done, when we check it off our list instead of just thinking about it. So I'll plead guilty as well. None of us are perfect, and there's times where I catch myself doing the same thing. So think about it. Like I'm presenting to the team on Friday, and I haven't even touched my slide deck yet, right? Okay, that's probably going to be a high priority. My inbox has 300 unread emails in it, right? We know they're not all urgent, so pick the urgent ones. Actually, you know what? Delete the stupid ones first. Let me reword that. Delete the crap that you don't need anymore, and try and just decipher what's actually going to be urgent. Okay, but we need to when we're starting to prioritize, we need to prioritize what actually does need to get done. So we can do even a simple priority framework, I'll call it, right? We don't like complicated systems. We like things simple. We like things street smart. When we complicate things, that just creates friction to actually getting things done. So maybe think about something like, now, soon, later. Like now probably needs to be done today, right? Top 3, I'm a big fan of that. I think it should be done the night before, but if you're getting in the office and you've got a few minutes, which I'll discuss in a second, create that top 3. These things absolutely need to get done today. Soon. Maybe it does need to get done this week. Park it somewhere. If you have time, will you create something in your calendar where you just pick off all the little crap that's in your way, right? Drop it in there. And then that later, maybe it's not urgent. Maybe you do need to park it. Maybe the presentation that is taking up space in your head isn't till next month. So why are we freaking out about it now? Now, I'm not saying, don't misunderstand me, that we can operate in that last minute thing that a lot of us are guilty of doing. But maybe it just doesn't need to be done today. And practice strategic delay. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know that there is a big difference in my eyes between procrastination and strategic delay. Procrastination is a negative. Nothing good really comes from it. Strategic delay is being smart about how you're prioritizing and how you're using your time and energy. Next, let's get visual with those visual cues, those physical cues. ADHD, sum it up, out of sight, out of mind, right? Something isn't in our face, then it probably doesn't exist. So use what works, okay? You know, I hear people railing about Post-it notes or sticky notes aren't a system. I get it. I can half agree with that. But if it works, then who am I to argue, right? So use what works. Color code them. Color code your list that you wrote. Maybe it's a magic marker or a Sharpie or what have you. The other thing you can do to visualize your priorities is to put that to-do list maybe right next to your keyboard. Okay? That, I think, is a smart move. Most of us aren't going to miss that if we're actually working and sitting at our computer. So that's a good way of doing it. I've also used to use a stand-up clipboard. So instead of a clipboard that actually hangs on the wall, it was actually a tabletop clipboard that you could put paper on. So, and if you want the whiteboard, if that's just going to hit you over the head every time you walk into your office or wherever it may be, use it. And then, as we mentioned, Trello, Notion, etc. So, schedule your thinking time. We can't expect us to, automatically prioritize things on the fly. And we need to really practice that pause button. Block out 10 or 15 minutes every morning, for example. Review your list, your priorities, your brain dump, reorganize it, maybe re-rank things, okay? So, for example, I owe my boss this update on this client. She wants it tomorrow. That's a priority. That needs to be on your priority list. Like I said, maybe it's that top 3 again. Give yourself permission to reprioritize based on maybe what's going on. Not every day is going to be smooth. Things are going to pop up. Let's just face reality, right? If we're talking about the business world, unless you have a absolutely rock solid, defined set of responsibilities, then things are going to come up. So don't just run the office and start work without some type of understanding of what you're going to do, right? And I think that's where we hit the pause button. And that pause button can be at the end of the day before you leave, or it could be 10 minutes right when you get in, and just find that time to ground yourself, even if it's briefly. That's going to help you prioritize. You're not going to prioritize if you're running 100 miles an hour. It's just not going to happen. And then get honest about your bandwidth and follow your energy. I've said this a million times. Being a busy professional, having a busy career, demanding career responsibilities, requires us to follow our energy. And it's not always about time management. It's about energy management. I've said this a million times. You can ask, what do I have the energy to do right now? If the hard thing won't get done, then maybe you can start off with a smaller task. Maybe it's related to that. Sometimes we just need to start small. Sometimes we need to take that first step. And I also think that unless your back is totally up against the wall and client or your boss is breathing down your neck and, quite frankly, threatening business or your job, avoid that brute force. Sometimes we don't do well powering through. Sometimes we do. You got to make that judgment. So, but our fatigue when it comes to ADHD is a real thing, and we need to be honest about that. But I think the more and more you develop the habit of the components that we just talked about, go ahead, rewind it, listen to it again, take some notes. Maybe you're in the car, rewind this one like the others, and develop a priority system that actually works for you. It's a muscle. It's not a silver bullet. It's not a magic trick. Those of us with ADHD, we need those systems that are flexible, visible, but also forgiving based on how we're operating that day. And expect a little bit of trial and error. This is one of the things that makes navigating ADHD, I guess, interesting, if you want to call it that. We're going to do a little bit of trial and error. What works for me might not work for you. And build that kind of trust with yourself that maybe building these habits a little bit over time is going to give you a little bit of peace of mind. It's going to show you progress, and it's going to give you some clarity, which is one of my favorite words, by the way. So, hey, if you need someone to help you put these things in place, to help you navigate certain systems, you feel like you can't get out of your way, you feel like, I listen to the podcast and all sounds great, but I really need somebody to just work with me for a little while, then just hit my website, overcomingdistractions.com. Right on the homepage, click that button. It says book a 15-minute call with me. Let's see if we're a good fit. Let's see if I can truly assist you in getting to where you need to be. And we'll have that conversation. Overcomingdistractions.com. All right, people, have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.